But look, man, here we are. It's 2024, and literally, I'm going to say it again, the last 24 hours have been nothing but nonstop. The last 24 hours of my life have been nonstop text message, phone call, voicemail. Levi, did you hear the news? Oh my God. Levi, can you believe it? Levi, we know you're into, oh my God, Levi, did you hear? He's in, the list. Oh my God, Levi, listen, everyone know, like I had everyone, my sister, my mom, my father picked up the fucking phone and called me for the first time in 12 years. I'm joking. That's not, I'm sorry, that wouldn't happen. That didn't actually happen. It's a joke. It's the funniest joke on the goddamn planet. And so I got text messages and people telling me, did you see the news? Because guess what? The Epstein list dropped. We've been waiting on the list. We've been waiting on the list for the last 3 days. It said it was coming out Monday, then it came Tuesday, and then it was Wednesday. And so we've been waiting 3 days for the list, and then we finally got the list. And man, it's just, unfortunately, David Copperfield has been named on the list, dude. Can you believe it? Can you believe David Copperfield? Like, bro, you could make the Statue of Liberty disappear. You made a train disappear. You're about to make the moon, the Earth's fucking the moon, dude. David Copperfield is set to make the moon disappear in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks or some shit. And he couldn't make his name disappear off the damn list? Whoa. Come on, dude. David Copperfield. Now listen, here's the thing. He's been named. And if we're being honest, I would have thought if we had a bingo card or like an office bet going, whatever it is, I would have put maybe 1 to maybe 2, maybe 3 to 4. I probably wouldn't have put David Copperfield as the number 1 draft pick. Now I get it. Listen, Epstein and just like all that stuff was like what, back at 80s, 90s, like early 2000s times. And like a lot of these magicians today, they kind of got their start in like mid 2000s. So I guess it makes sense that it's Copperfield, but like maybe no, like Siegfried and Roy, one of the Tiger guys couldn't have been on the list per David Copper. Like maybe not P and T. I don't know. David Copperfield is on the list. And this is all, this is what we have. David Copperfield was named 6 times in the document. And so now what's happening now is we're getting all this data and all these numbers, and it's pretty much based on how many times you were named in the deficit for the Epstein, trial case, whatever's going on, the lawsuit with Ghislaine that's happening that made all of this come to light. How many times are mentioned? So Copperfield mentioned 6 times in the documents, which were made public Wednesday, including in a deposition with alleged victim Joanna, who said she and another girl had dinner with the magician at Epstein's house. Damn, dude. Listen, there's 3 types of Epsteins here. Okay, there's those who just used the plane, there's those who went to the island, and there's those who went to the island and like stayed for a little bit. And, the latter is the worst of it all. So dinner in the house, dude. Damn it, David. Damn it. Copperfield. During the dinner, Joanna asked the other young-looking girl what school she went to, and when she didn't recognize the name of the school as being a college, she said the girl might have been of high school age. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. Copperfield apparently had a similar feeling. That was his psychic, magic, third eye talking. It was like pulsing during dinner the whole time. He knew she was of this age. According to the documents, Joanna testified, he questioned me if I was aware that the girls were getting paid to find other girls. Strange. So, like, he knew. Copperfield's involvement with Epstein was previously made public in a 2019 article in New York Times, which detailed Ghislaine Maxwell's involvement in scouting young girls. Maxwell never accused Copperfield of wrongdoing. Joanna didn't either. So, you know, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing here. And that's the key. That's the key now. And this is what the news and the media is going to try to spin here. That there's no evidence of wrongdoing from David Copperfield, even though he got on the plane to go to Epstein Island, where the things happen on Epstein Island. When you get on Epstein's plane where the things happen, to go to the island where things happen, to go to the dinner where things happen on Epstein Island, to have said dinner where things happen at during the time. So, I mean, of course, there was no wrongdoing. It was an off day at the island when David Copperfield was there, you know? Like, it just, it's quite interesting where we're going. You know what I mean? And Epstein, listen, he didn't want to orgy. Let's just be honest. Epstein went the extra mile. He didn't just want these orgies on the island to be just, you know, they show up, bang, bang, boom, we're done. They fly home. That's boring. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's quick. They're in, they're out. He doesn't have any fun. And now he's back to just being alone on the island with this big mansion with just him and, like, you know, the underage people there. And so then he gets bored. And so he wants people to stay on the island longer. So to make these parties even more exciting, what better way than to invite some of his famous friends to do some, like, magic tricks? He wants David Copperfield to come do some card tricks, make one of the high schoolers levitate, do something with, you know, like throw knives at one of the other guests. And then, you know, when we're done watching the magic show, then we've got our good friend over here, Michael Jackson, who was there on the same day. He's going to perform a few songs. He's going to do a little concert. Jeffrey paid him for like 5 songs. Turns out it's like 50 million. He did like 5 or 6 songs. He did an encore. And so now that we've seen a show, we've got dinner, we flew on the private jet, we saw some magic. Like, how the fuck did he do that? We saw a show from Michael Jackson that people would never see in a lifetime, a private show from Michael Jackson. Now everybody's ready. Let's jump right into the OG, you know what I mean? And it's, you know, and this is all Jeffrey's idea. This is all Jeffrey's idea. When he invites his friends, like, you know, when he invites his friends like Stephen Hawking over to the island, you know, Stephen just doesn't want to sit there and just kind of not do anything and then be ready and rip-roaring to go once the girls are. Listen, did Stephen Hawking have an underage orgy on Epstein's Island? Yes, but it's only after he watched a magic show from David Copperfield. Like, could you imagine showing up to this party and you have no idea what's going on? You just got a +1. You just got a +1. And your friend told you, hey, come with me. We're going to this party. It's going to be a killer time. We're going to fly on a private jet. You're going to see, like, there's going to be, like, Chris Angel's going to be there, I think. There's going to be, like, celebrities, people, star-studded. Come with me to this party. And, like, I'm like, yeah, bet, let's go. And I'm on the plane. And they're like, you don't got to pay for anything. Don't pay for anything. Just show up. You're going to eat. You're going to live life. It's going to be a blast. 72 hours. We're going to be home. And that's going to be it. We don't speak of it ever again. You down? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Let's go. And so now I'm there. And as soon as we walk into the mansion, I already know something's up because, you know, this shouldn't be free. But, like, there's Stephen Hawking sitting over there. I'm pretty sure it's him, but, like, maybe it's a lookalike. I don't know. And then like that guy pretty much looks like David Copperfield. And that guy over there, I'm pretty sure surrounded by like 12 security guards is Michael Jackson. They keep whispering it is, but like no one knows. Like he won't come out from behind the wall of security men. And so like it's weird, but everyone knows it's him. So I don't know why he's just not out eating dinner with the rest of us. And so now we're at this party and you know, like people go their separate ways. You go get a drink, you go get like a snack or whatever from the kitchen. And now you walk into the wrong room and it's Stephen Hawking naked in his wheelchair with like 10 teenagers. And it's not looking good for the rest of the evening. And it's a fun, I mean, it sounds, you know, I hope everyone have fun. I wouldn't go. You know what I mean? Like once I get there, I quickly want to leave. It would become one of those weirdo movies, like whatever that movie everyone's watching, Still Fat, Still Feet, Still Flow, whatever, Still something, I don't know. Whatever it is, I'll put it on the screen. Everyone's watching that. And like Meg showed me the trailer and it's kind of just like, it's basically this. It's basically this. If that movie, whatever this new viral TikTok movie is, it's like, it's basically what's happening on Epstein's Island. It's people who are lost. It's people who want to have a good time. And then they go to this mansion and then like, they can't really leave. I mean, you can leave, but like, you're not really leaving, you know? Man, it's, Stephen Hawking was there. David Copperfield. They're gonna pin the whole thing. They're gonna pin the whole thing probably on David. They're probably gonna come out in testimony tomorrow in the court and say David Copperfield was the mastermind behind the whole thing, not Jeffrey. And it's probably gonna be lights out for him. Like, you know what I mean? So while Jeffrey Epstein's getting his list of vendors, and you know it's just him, and every time Ghislaine's like, no, love, for the love of Christ, like, no, we've got the sandwiches, we're gonna give them the sandwiches, we're gonna go do the orgy, and then everyone's gonna leave promptly this time, love. We don't need to do the show, we don't need to do the magic, we don't need to do the music, we don't need to do the machines. And like all Jeffrey wants on the island is like a cotton candy machine. We'll get like a Bricker's French fry and chicken fingers truck to come. We'll get like the thing with the squirt gun that makes the clown go up the thing. You win a stuffy. We'll get one of those games. He wants a Ferris wheel. We want the magician every time. So Copperfield, we got to get Copperfield back. We need some sort of music act. You know what I mean? Let's see if Jackson's available. Oh, he is this weekend. Okay. So then we need that. We need the thing where you go down the plastic slide in the potato sack that costs $1. Do that. We need a skee ball machine. We need 3 to 5 skee ball machines. I want all the girls to have their own skee ball machines, and I want all the guests to have their own skee ball machines. And then once we're done at the carnival, maybe a petting zoo. Is a llama too much? Should we get a few goats, 1 or 2 llamas? Maybe like some prairie dogs running around. I don't know. Maybe like a little baby cow, a little fluffy baby cow, like the one Sandy Dunkel pays to cuddle. One of those. And then we'll have like a petting zoo. We'll have the ride. We'll have the games. We'll have the magician walking around. Like these are things I'm surprised I wasn't hired on the island. Like these are like, I'm on Gig Masters as a magician 10 years ago. Like, oh yeah, this sounds great. Sign me up. $800. Pay me the 800. I'm there. I got to fly. Okay, cool. I'm hopping on the jet. Like, I'm surprised I wasn't solicited to do magic tricks on Epstein's Island at my career as a magician. It was around the same time. You know, hey, could have been me, but it wasn't. It wasn't at all, and it would never be. But David Copperfield was there. You know what I mean? So, like, and Ghislaine just doesn't want him to have fun. You know? I hope Ghislaine gets on the stand and pins it all on Copperfield is the thing. And of course, you can't get through it. You can't get through the entire thing without seeing Bill Clinton's name just in bright lights, blink, blink, blinkety blink. Bill Bill, not the science guy, Bill Clinton, the ex-president of the United States. And so, you know what I mean? NBC has the story. Let's see where they're at. NBC, of course, is going to continue to spin this narrative, much like the Copperfield's team's going to come out with a statement and say there was no wrongdoing. And of course, we're going to see this pattern continue to trend. As many times as their names are mentioned in the documents, as many times as they were on the plane, as many times as they were eating dinner at the house, as many as times as they were on Jeffrey Epstein's island. What else were you there for? Was there no other places to go on vacation? You know, was there no other place? You guys couldn't have gone to Chili's for dinner? You couldn't have got like that 3 for me, $10.99 deal at Chili's for like whatever the occasion was? You had to go to that island? You knew what you were doing on the... So CNN's got it. Let's take a listen.
But it's different now, of course, seeing it in a court filing. These are court files that had been redacted, kept under wraps for many years as part of that civil litigation that I mentioned, and we're going to continue pouring through to uncover what we have found. I should mention none of this, obviously, suggests any wrongdoing by the former president, suggests that he was involved in a crime.
That's it. It doesn't, nothing, listen, it doesn't suggest any wrongdoing. There's not a single ounce of wrongdoing by Bill Clinton. He just so happened to be on the jet like 16 times. He was on the island 14 times. He was mentioned in the deposition 60 times. He just so happened. He didn't have any other billionaire friends. Listen, this is it. This is the thing. Billionaires lend their jets out, like the Mark Cubans, Grant Cardones, Elon Musk. He doesn't have a jet. He has rocket ships, whatever. He doesn't rent those out. But you know what I mean? If they have them because they're not using them all the time, and if they're not using them all the time, they're just paying for them to sit wherever they're sitting. So they might as well let their friends use their private jets to go here, to go there. The Clintons, they don't want to spend the campaign money, the hard-earned, donated money from the people for their campaign. They don't want to spend that on private jets. So why not call our friend Jeffrey and say, yo, Jay, get the PJ running. Let's go. We need to hit the streets to campaign for this election. And so, like, I get it. I get it. Billionaires, like, use my plane. Here you go. Take it. I'm not using it. Use it for the weekend. Tell them where you want to go, and they'll take you there. Like, it's paid for. Don't worry about it. I'm a billionaire. Like, that's what billionaires do. But at the same time, when you're the president of the United States, you probably, I would imagine, now I'm an idiot, but I would imagine you've probably got access to, I don't know, maybe like government plane, regular plane, a private plane that you own. Like there's plenty, a private plane charter person. There's people, like celebrities have charter people. They call and they say, hey, I'm leaving this time from this airport. I need to go here. Like tell them like what gate do I go to? I'm not going through TSA bullshit. I'm just going private. Let me know. And then they walk right onto the tarmac with their Lamborghinis, and then they fucking go right onto the jet. And like they have a guy that does that, like a travel agent, you know what I mean? So the Clintons had other options, and so we're just, now listen, just there's no evidence of any wrongdoing, okay? Listen, they've got a team of people on it. They got a team of people sifting through all the documents, and just to make sure that Bill Clinton was just using the jet and was just hanging out on the island, you know, just to play Monopoly. You know, it's game night. It was Hillary, it was Bill, Jeffrey, David Copperfield, Ghislaine, a few other of their friends. Bill Gates was there, and they were just playing Monopoly, and then they all went home. Like, that's pretty much what happened. Like, it wasn't on and poppin' orgy day when Bill Clinton was in the area and the vicinity of Epstein and his plane, the island, and anything else that had to do with the illegal activities going on. You know what I mean? So no wrongdoing there. Not a single shred of evidence. Not a single shred of evidence. I mean, it's not. It's fun times.
Merely talking about his connections to Epstein, something that has already, again, been out there, but he has obviously maintained his innocence and denied any wrongdoing as it relates to any abuse by people that Epstein exploited, Tom.
You know, and then that's it. She didn't say anything. Right, that's it. That's the rest of the clip. She didn't actually say anything. She just wants to remind us, to let us know that there's no evidence. There's no evidence right up front. No glaring, nothing really that we can think of that would make any sense of any wrongdoing by the President of the United States. He's got other reasons. He's got other things going on. There's a perfectly good explanation. We've got a team on it. We're going to figure out what that explanation is here in a minute. But there's perfectly good, no wrongdoing. The president, he's fine. There's the reason he's mentioned 50 times and in 50 different documents. It doesn't actually, it's instead of, listen, this is what the news does now. They just, if they don't understand it, they can't admit that. And so instead, we just make stuff up and we talk in circles like this woman did and just say like, well, there's no real evidence of wrongdoing, even though he was on a plane. Just say you don't know what that means, because we don't know what it means either. We don't know what it means that Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and the presidents and the Trumps and the Prince Harry and the Andrews and the Stephen Hawkings, the magicians of the world are on that. No one knows what it means except for them and us. Now, we've got a pretty good idea. And the news is trying to convince us that that idea that we've concluded is no longer accurate. And so it just, it's what they're doing. I mean, it's just what the news does now. And it's just, they're trying to do their best to convince us that the words we're reading on the papers and in the headlines and the articles and these news, that what we're seeing on Twitter and like the real resources and the real places we get our information from, because Lord knows if you're getting all of your news from CNN, Fox News, or NBC, or wherever the fuck, you should probably stop doing that right now. They're trying to convince us it's all just made up. Like, they're legal documents, sweetheart. Like, this isn't a TMZ exploit. This isn't a gotcha story. This isn't a Britney Spears Hulu documentary. TMZ lied the whole way through about the whole thing because it's for entertainment and shock value. This is a legal federal lawsuit against one of the biggest pedophile rings, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. It's one of the number one most significant events in American history's court system. Like, we've got to stop beating around the bush and asking why these people were on the plane, and instead we gotta listen. We gotta start listening to them, and we just gotta ask them straight out. Why were you on the plane? Like, listen, he's not the only presidential related person on the plane. I'm pretty sure Donald Trump was mentioned. RFK was on the plane, and RFK Jr., of course, if you can get through the voice, whatever, I'm sorry, but it just, he's got a perfectly good explanation for why he was on the plane.
I was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet 2 times. I was on it in 1993, and I was on it and I went to Florida with my wife and 2 children to visit my mom over Easter. My wife had some kind of relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, and they offered us a ride to Palm Beach. So I went then, and then on another occasion, I flew again with my family, with I think 4 of my children, and Mary, my wife, to Rapid City, South Dakota, to go fossil hunting for a weekend, but otherwise I was never on his jet alone. I've been very open about this from the beginning.
So this is what you do. It's what you do as a billionaire, and that's what we're all learning here in the United States. Is once you have reached that billionaire status, because 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't so mainstream. There were billionaires, of course, but we didn't have them being public figures splattered all over in our faces 24/7 on social media like we do today. So now we know who the billionaires are, and it's just what you do. And we're learning more and more what billionaires do on a daily basis, whether it's get into a tin can submarine and go down to the bottom of the ocean and look at some trash, a ship that sunk 1900 years ago. Okay, well, that didn't work out. And so now what else are we we've got a friend, he's got a private jet. Let's go fossil hunting as a family. It's a Sunday afternoon. There's no church service for whatever reason this week. The pastor's sick. Let's gas up the PJ and let's, we'll take it. We'll tell them, hey, we're going to South Dakota, and then we'll spend the day out in the middle of the field, the desert. I don't know what's out there, dude. And we'll dig for fossils, dinosaur bones, animal bones, human, whatever bones. And we'll dig for fossils. We'll take pictures. We'll categorize them. We'll put them on the website we made for all the fossils we found as a family, because that's what you do when you're a billionaire. There's no one that I know in this town or within a 50-mile radius as a child that's ever been fossil hunting as a child, teenager, young adult, or even now in their adult life. And I don't think they ever will, especially on a trip via a private jet to another state where I'm sure they had professional tools and a guide and the outfits and the hat. Like, who goes fossil hunting as a like, that's a red flag suspicion right there. Listen, there's no evidence of wrongdoing for RFK Jr., but there's a little bit of evidence of wrongdoing for that family trip. Like, fossil hunting. That is something I don't think anyone has ever heard of in the last, name one other time. Find me one other instance where you've heard someone taking the family, the wife, the 4 kids at the time, we're getting in the car, we're getting on the plane. You know what I mean? Do you see instead of on the weekends, we get in the car and drive to a trampoline park with our son. That's the extent of the American dream when it comes to being a parent and having a child. You take them to a trampoline park, a bounce house with the inflatables, the big ball pit and the foam. They're there for an hour. They love it. That's the Sunday. If you do that, maybe you get a little lunch. Maybe we hit a little Red Robin. You get some cluckadoodles. Maybe daddy's got a reward, so he's happy. The bill's not as much. You get the Happy Meal, get a little balloon on your way out, you get some lunch, you hit the jump spot, you do the ball pit, you do the foam. It's a blast. It's a great way to end the weekend. And then on the opposite side of that, you've got people hopping on the private plane to take their family fossil hunting. And that's his excuse. And so that's what we're going to see. We're going to continue to see. I don't think Copperfield's team said anything yet. They might just stay quiet for the special sake, because he is set to make the moon disappear, I think. So it's going to be very, very crazy to see what the excuses are now moving forward as to why you were involved, whether it be with this man, the woman on trial, Miss Maxwell, the plane, the island, the house for dinner, the minor. There's so many layers, and they're just going to keep trying to tell you that the most important people involved, there's no real signs of foul play. There's nothing else there. And I mean, NBC's probably not the only one that's doing it. I mean, it's what's going on here? Who's this? Here's CBS. They're pretty much NBC's, the same letters. They're all the same fucking thing. But here's CBS talking about it. This is what they have to say.
Documents naming people connected to Jeffrey Epstein have been unsealed. The documents include nearly 950 pages. Last month, a federal judge ruled the names of Epstein's alleged victims and those connected to him must be made public. Epstein was indicted on federal sex trafficking charges in 2019. He later died by suicide. Publication does not imply knowledge
and that's
of
the other thing
his
too.
alleged...
That's it right there. That's the other thing. we have to keep bringing this up. It has to be their first line of defense. They have to remind you that he was convicted before. This was back in 2019, before the world was different. He was a person of interest then. These names were already out there. These people already went through the scrutiny. We've already taken care of it. And so also, hey, just a reminder, he did in fact commit suicide in his jail cell via New York City. And like, we're spinning that up again, which is amazing. It's fantastic. I love it. I love the fact that every time we're not done with this. I think there's like tapes that are coming out missing from the FBI, leakage, some sort of stuff, whatever Meg Kelly's spewing, that crazy freaking witch. She's insane. And so it's just one of the most, we're not done with Epstein yet. And like, we can't even, after they got done seizing $600 million worth of assets from him, they put him in a jail cell where they remove another prisoner, put him in, and then turn off all the cameras, and then had like a security guard who just started like 3 months ago part-time watching the cell, and like some other guy who probably was involved in the whole thing. And then all of a sudden, magically, all of the evidence lines up to lead us to believe that what the media is saying is that he hung himself in the cell. And so, like, now, of course, like, you have the likes of stand-up comedians. You have the likes of politicians like Donald Trump. I mean, people everywhere around the world know that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. Everyone knows it. No one denies it. No one is wiser. No one has any other excuse. No one has proof. No one has facts. No one has gesture. No one has anything. Every single person on the planet, if we had to come together on one topic, one thing about this entire fucking story, is that he did not hang himself in that cell, and that some individual organization, however you want to define it, part of the government, I don't know, whatever the setup was, this is mob mentality, old school rules. You know what I mean? Like, we can get anyone in prison killed. Like, we've seen the movies, we've seen the TV shows, a little shanking in the lunch line, and bada bing, bada boom, your problem's done with. No more names, no more list, no more testifying for Jeffrey. He's donezo. You know what I mean? And then we spin. He hung himself. He's dead. He's suicide. We put him on suicide watch like 3 weeks ago. So clearly this was a suicide. And then what? We just slip $800,000 to the coroner to say, well, yeah, it's kind of conclusive. Not really, but it kind of is. So sure, that's what it was. And so if we're gonna solve world peace and get everyone on board, I think we can all agree. But the news has to continue spinning this narrative, because if they don't, then the whole house of cards falls down. If they do not continue spinning the narrative of Epstein killing himself, then their whole house of cards falls down, because then we don't believe a word they say ever. You know what I mean? And so it's just
crimes or involvement in them. The names are part of a lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell, who was sentenced to 20 years in prison for sex trafficking young girls for Epstein. CBS News correspondent Nancy Chen joins me now. Okay, Nancy, there's a lot to sift through. What do you know?
There is. We are going through this right now. We have a team combating and attacking this big document release that we just got. 40 documents in total.
Entire team.
More than, as you mentioned, 940 pages plus. We have a team going through this right now. We'll make sure to bring you updates. But here's what we do know. It's important to note that being named, as you mentioned, does not necessarily mean that someone had knowledge of or involvement in Epstein's crimes. What the documents also...
That's it! She said it. She said it. It is important to note that just because the name's on the documents doesn't mean they were involved in the crimes. This is different. This is different now, okay? All that bad stuff that Epstein did, the underage, the stuff, the human trafficking, all that stuff, this is different. We're done talking about that. I need you to stop worrying about that. And just because it's kind of, sort of, it is the same thing, we're spinning it as if it's not, but it's kind of sort of the same thing. Just know it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, Bill Clinton was on the human trafficker's plane that flew him to the human trafficker's island where he had dinner with the human trafficker in the human trafficker's house with the human trafficking intentions. And so it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. And what Mrs. Chen here is trying to tell us is that, you know, Nancy Chen wants you to know that it doesn't imply any wrongdoing on anyone's part except for Jeffrey Epstein. He's the real criminal. Jeffrey Epstein is the real criminal.